Good morning, my audio nerd friends, and just thought I'd give you a quick update on some of the things, how the projects are coming on. In this video, I will cover the Edition XS project and where that's up to. New colours of Sennheiser HT25 aluminium that we've got made. Possible cure for microphonics in cables. It's not quite there, but I can show you the steps that we've been through so far. It's been quite an interesting project that I thought would take an afternoon and has in fact taken me over a week probably of designing and prototyping, and it's still not quite there, but I think it came to me in a dream and I think I know how to fix it. We're getting there. Yes, so we're going to be going over that. Before I forget, HD600 mass loading and damping kits are back in stock, because I know loads of people have been waiting for those, and yeah, they've been out of stock for a couple of months while we've had issues getting stuff around the world and manufacturing and things, but they're back. Yeah, we've certainly got, I think, 100 kits in stock that we can sell, and more hopefully on the way, so which will, by the time they sell, hopefully we'll have more. So they should be in stock for a little while now. But yeah, they've just, again, sold faster than we were expecting. We weren't ready for it. Links in the description. If you have HD600s, check out our fabulous mod kits. Very popular. Check reviews out online. They're real good. So why don't we start off with the HD25s? Which is it's a nice quick one. Basically managed to get two new colours of Sennheiser HT25 made. So we've got this lovely kind of red, which is quite a nice deep red, and more of kind of a coppery kind of colour. But no, nice rich colours. It's difficult to get a nice rich colour from anodizing. Sometimes they're a bit wishy-washy, but these came out quite real nice. So we'll be selling these, I think £70 for the aluminium pieces if you want to upgrade your own HT25s, or £199 for a set of some HT25s with the aluminium ear caps and everything. £199, 70 quid if you want them. I think on our DJ side, so if you head over to our Facebook and Instagram, sometime next week we're probably going to be giving a set of these away to some of our DJ customers. The parts, not the headphones. Can't quite afford to give the headphones away, but we can give one set of parts away. Instagram, customcans_headphones, and Facebook, Custom Cans Headphones as well. I think I'll put some links in the description to that. If you have a look at that, there'll be some kind of deal over the next week. Then we'll have a look at this, the microphonics. So I don't know if you know this, but with some cables, they transmit noise to the ear cup. So as it rubs on your clothes or hit stuff, it makes rubbing and stuff sounds in the ear, which can be a little bit distracting. It's okay if you stood perfectly still, but say you're working in the studio and you're moving around on the desk, you're going to hear that cable moving. I did something like that for the HT25s. I made a little different cable clamp which reduced the microphonics quite a lot on that. So I did that, like, first design, it just worked, and it I didn't market it because we didn't have a printer that could print it well enough to last forever. Well, we've just, I suppose that brings me on to some other exciting information. We've just bought an SLS printer. It is slightly faulty, but I'm hoping we can fix it, and we can't really afford an SLS printer, so we had to buy the cheapest one we could find, which was a slightly broken one, but we're hoping to fix that over the next couple of months, and then we'll be able to 3D print proper, industrial grade SLS nylon parts, which will really help us with some upcoming projects, because we're hoping to release our own headphones this year. We've come up with some designs, but like paying an outside company to SLS print them would make them uneconomical. So if we can print them in-house, we might be able to sell them for a sensible-ish price. And it'll also allow us to build upgrade parts for other headphones that are just super solid and nice. Anyway, sorry. I digress. So anyway, on the HT25 I managed to reduce the microphonics quite easily. So I'm like, yeah, I could do that for any cable. Surely I just need to, because what you have to do is basically take the vibrations out of the cable, absorb them before they get to the ear cup. So initially I came up with a little thing. Let me just take this one off. So a little thing that kind of went round your cable. So put a little kink in it like that. I was thinking if you had a rubber band here, it would give it a bit of flex and would reduce the microphonics. This design was a bit big and cumbersome. It was the amount of time it took me to make a 3D printed part where the hinge works nicely and it all clips together and doesn't break. That took a lot of goes. Moved on to this, which was kind of a simplified lighting design, but that didn't quite work. Yeah, sort of various iterations of that. Moved on to something like this. So the cable went round through here, and then you had a little Lumi band and that worked quite well, absorbed a lot of the things, but the problem was, because I've used a hinge that is 3D printed, it doesn't move perfectly smoothly, and even though you can't really hear it there, because it was touching the cable, even though it was removing the microphonics from it, rubbing your clothes, if you made it flex too much, it added extra noises in, so it kind of fixed one problem and made another. And, tried adding a bit of foam to that and different length arms. The longer arm helped, but still had the problem with the 3D printed hinge making a noise, so then I went for one with a little tiny weeny ball bearing in it. It wasn't quite as pretty, but this was just a demo thing, so the bearing took all the noise out of it moving. Yeah, I was trying a different mechanical arrangement with the arms and stuff, and this didn't work as well. And then while I was kind of fiddling around with that and thinking about redesigning it, I'm like, do we even need a moving part there to support, you know, because I'm thinking it's a bit like a shock absorber on a car, but I'm possibly overcomplicating that. So then I went with this one, which does work okay, and it uses a compliant mechanism, so I've printed it with thin parts there, so this part can actually, once it's printed, this part has got a bit of flex in it, and it works pretty much as well as these, but it can be printed much more easily. You don't need a bearing. Generally it's better, but this is not the final this was just kind of a proof of concept. This is going to get slimmed down, you know, so it's going to be smaller like that, but maintain the strength, and it's got to do, yeah. At the moment this is in 2 parts, so you just kind of pop the cable through there, clip that on, but this doesn't, the new idea will fit better than this one. This was just kind of a thing, but the way, the 2 things this works, obviously it takes out, because it's got a bit of spring to it, it takes out some of the vibrations through the cable, but also because it brings the cable forwards over your shoulder, so it dangles down here where it's not touching your clothes anyway, so it's not banging on stuff as much. Yeah, so for studio environment, this one works. It works pretty well. It's just a bit chunky and ugly. I'm going to make it a little bit nicer. Yeah, so that's nearly done. That'll be a nice little, you know, thing that people can 3D print, and it solves a problem for some people. You know, if you're walking around town, you might look like a bit of a bell end, I don't know, with this thing dangling down here. But if you're in the studio working away, I can move my head like that. I get no microphonics through the headphones, which is, it's kind of what I wanted. Yeah, so that works. It was an interesting project that I thought would take 10 minutes and has taken a lot of designing and testing. Yeah, because just loads of different versions of the arm and different geometries and stuff. It was all, yeah, just interesting seeing how it affected things, and some of them were completely useless. Certainly the first couple I did were rubbish, and I'm like, oh, this maybe isn't a thing, but it's starting to get to a point where maybe this is a thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's not big money. I shouldn't have been wasting my time on it. I should have been concentrating on the Edition XS, but kind of got my teeth into the project and didn't want to. I hate failure. I must see it through. I must succeed. Yeah, so I've just about made a thing. It'll be something that anyone can 3D print off themselves, or we can sell them for a couple of quid, because they don't take very long to print. So that's probably not the stuff you're interested in. Edition XS. This is the big project I'm working on at the moment. I know there's lots of other things you've said in the comments that you want to see, like the Philips Fidelio. I should really do something with those, which I will do, but I need to get these finished first, just because I've invested all the money in them. I don't know, I've got, I don't know, a good few £1,000 just invested in this that I need to kind of get back at some point so I can work. Whereas the Philips Fidelio, it cost me 60 quid for a pair of headphones. I haven't put any more money into it, so I want to get this finished, start getting some of the money back, and yeah, go from there. So, interesting things learned. I've done a lot of iterations. There's been, I don't know, 20 odd variations, just testing, figuring out things, getting closer, then further away, getting closer again, trying different stuff. Let's just turn this on. So, for those of you that don't know, XS, very good headphone. Everyone loves it. Nothing wrong with it. But when I first listened to those, I got those and the Aria Organic at the same time, and I'm like, the Aria Organic are just better, just loads better. And yeah, if I'd listened to them on their own, they would have been great. You know, they were a fantastic headphone. People love them. But because I listened to them at the same time as the Aria Organic, I'm like, no, they're not quite great enough. I wondered whether with a bit of modification, whether we could get them a bit closer to the Aria Organic. Or, you know, you don't know till you try. So that is where the project began, and some interesting results. Essentially, let's have a look. Let's compare the Aria Organic and the Edition XS. So as you can see, so here, looking at the graph, we've got the Aria Organic in green, and we've got the Edition XS in purple. Both of them have some weird little lumps and dips in the mid-range. You know, as we're getting up towards 1K, there's little lumps and bumps, and they generally have a similar kind of thing. And the main difference you're seeing with the Aria Organic is that you've got a bit more of a peak in the treble, about sort of 8K, so that peak is a bit higher. But I think the thing that's really making the Arias sound alive and giving them that rich, engaging soundstage and stuff is that there's a very high end. So you can see you've got a lot more kind of peaks up above 10K. You know, you've got some around 12, some around 14, 16. And even though you can barely hear those, let me get pen and paper. So those very high frequencies that you're hearing, like, you can barely hear them. If you listen to a 16K tone, you can basically not hear it. You know, it's so high, it doesn't really matter. And you're thinking, why would I want to hear sounds that high in music? What advantage is that going to give me? And basically, if you don't think about it as pure tones at 16K, if you think about it as resolution in the sound. So say we're listening to a bit of jazz and the dude is like using the brushes on the drum. Now let's say that sound, that as the brush hits the drum, let's say it's, obviously it's a complex sound with many frequencies, but let's say it's 2 kilohertz, I don't know, and we got a 2 kilohertz sine wave produced by this thing. But on those brushes, obviously, you've got lots of individual little things all hitting the drum one after another. So we've got another kind of sine wave. Oh my god, I can't draw this morning. Basically the same, just shifted over slightly in time. So it's the same frequency, well within the human hearing range, but starting a fraction of a second later. So rather than like the distance from peak to peak being 2K, the distance between this peak and the start of the next peak might be like 20K. 20 kilohertz, like the peak to peak frequency. So having these very high frequencies, I think, does help you with not only positioning of instruments and stuff, but separating them out, hearing when, you know, like that. I was listening to various orchestral pieces and jazz things, and you could hear like the percussion coming in and like just getting through. You could hear the dude breathing. You could hear, you know, all those when you got many layered sounds all coming, having that extra resolution from the very high frequencies, I think helps separate those. I might be wrong, but that's my theory, and that seemed to hold true. So I tried lots of these, and what was quite interesting is I managed to kind of match the peak level at 8K on the XS and put in some of those upper frequencies, and it was just really harsh. It was like really sibilant. It was very interesting. A different driver and housing and pads with a similar kind of frequency response, but being like unlistened to it, like nice but harsh. So I'm still going, because it's got to the point where initially I was looking at the graph, and now it's much more about looking at the graph, but then also building a set and listening, which takes time. You know, it takes 4 or 5 hours to print both ear cups at the moment, just because the design isn't optimized. I've got to build them, then I've got to test them for a couple of hours and have a real good listen and think about it. So yeah, I can probably only do 1 prototype a day, and it's I only have 1 or 2 days a week when I can do that. So it's just taking a time. But I suppose the difficulty that I've got is I've entered the audiophile market before dealing very much with music lovers. You know, if I take £100 pair of headphones, I make it more pleasurable to listen to. Everyone's going to be happy. that's easily doable. Taking an audiophile headphone, and audiophiles are a very fussy bunch, and making it better Obviously, better is a thing. You know, some people are going to like it more, some people are going to like it less. But I've often watched headphone reviews, and and they're all like, oh, blah, 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 blah. You can really hear the details and blah blah blah, the separation and things like that. And I've gone like, oh, that's nice enough. But I've never really paid attention to that before. But now I've been doing some real audiophile listening. Like, that's what they're on about. I get it now. I'm listening to the Ario Organic. I'm listening to the XS. I'm like, it is these subtle little things. I get it. So now, yes, I've got my listening has got better for audiophile stuff, but I'm just not 100% confident in my abilities. You know, I've reached that point where I'm like, is this imposter syndrome? Do I know what I'm doing? I think I do. I've started testing our best design, which is SG19. Let's get that up. So my best result so far is SG19, which is the one in here, where we've got two different sizes, two different kind of areas on the driver. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can get this up. Certain blade profile here, and then a different blade profile here, and a more open area at the front. So you can see you've got these grills at the front, which makes it sound more open than when you've just got the fins. It does make it sound more open than when you don't have this on here, which is unusual, but I think that's because I've put back in those high frequencies, which give you some directional information, but also having sort of the higher these blades do the higher frequencies. These ones sort out some of the lumps and bumps in the mid-range and the low end, and having that high detailed sound coming more from the front, in front of your ear, makes it sound more like speakers, makes it sound more like you're in a room listening to a concert, that kind of thing. So is it all nonsense? I don't know. I've been, like, James has been testing it, a few other people have been testing it, and they're blown up. They say they're amazing, but I'm not confident. I don't think it's quite there yet. I still need a bit more testing. I think the treble is still a little bit harsh. So let's have a look at the graphs. So SG19, which is our best, my favourite one so far. This is the one that we've been doing some testing with other people with, because I think it's at that level where other people can have a listen. As you can see, nice and flat across the mid-range, and then then starts to go down at about 1K. But the main thing that you'll notice is we've got that extra detail up the top that the Ario Organic's got. So if we get the SG19 and the Ario Organic, you can see got those high frequencies in roughly the same place on there. The dip, the scoop out the middle is less than it was before on the SG12, which is our previous good one. I've managed to bring that up, which is good, because that was causing issues before. The vocals were a little bit recessed. Yeah, so that's there. The upper treble, like in the very high frequencies, that's very similar to the Ario Organic now, so much more like the Ario Organic than it is like the XS. We managed to gain a couple of decibels in the sub bass, so we've flattened out that sub bass region. Yeah, so again, you've got slightly more sub bass, and that is partially due to a modification on the pads. We'll be designing a way to modify the pads without having to change the pads, because obviously you want to keep everything the same, keep the costs down if you can. Obviously changing the pads is going to change things, but if we can just modify the existing pads slightly to produce a little bit more bass without ruining things, that's something, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So yeah, so overall, I think these are nearly there. You can see we've managed to get the XS closer to the Ario Organic, which was the aim of the project, but the treble might still be a little bit harsh. I don't know, some of those peaks at around sort of 11, 12K might be a little bit too high, making it a little bit gritty. Like, it's amazing, you can hear loads more detail, you can get better music, better instrument separation, slightly better sound staging, but it might just be a little bit gritty in the high end because of that extra detail up top. So what I was thinking was, if any of you guys are super brave and have some XSs and want to try this particular prototype, SG19, and give me some feedback, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to send out a few sets of these to people. If there's a few of you out there that have got it, let me know. We'll print off a load, we'll send them out. I'd really love some feedback. I'd like to know what you like, and I'd like to know what you hate. But yeah, I'm going to try and collar a few more people, get some other testers locally, or even if you're a headphone reviewer, ideally, even if you've got a tiny weenie channel, we don't care. Yeah, get some of these, let us know. It's not a finished product, but it'd be really good to get some feedback. So that is where we're at. This is the update. Sorry, still not quite there. I said I'd do a product a month. We've got a product this month. It's just not the product you thought it was going to be. So we've got the new HD25s in stock. The HD600 kits are back in stock, but the XS project, it's a big project. I've got to get it right. it's going to take a bit longer. So anyway, I hope that was vaguely interesting, and I know I've been sent a couple of things to review, so there should be a couple of reviews of some random products that we've got in the mail over the next week or so. And yeah, it's been super awesome hanging out, and I'll see you guys again.